Hello everyone and welcome back to another TCC video. Today we're going to be talking about the 10 mistakes you're going to make as a new investor collector of Pokemon cards. I've been collecting for 2.5 years. I've made many of these mistakes myself. That's why I want to share with you. Also, I was a pretty big collector when I was a kid. I don't mean to brag, but I started collecting pretty seriously around the Team Rocket set, and then I stopped around Neo Destiny. So I did that for years when I was younger, and then now as an adult, I'm back into it, except it's with big boy money. It's with big boy money. I think that's why the price of cards are so expensive. Everyone started grading. Graded cards are like, they're more liquid because, well, I mean, now you've got a sort of like third-party system to tell you what's a good card and what's a bad card, and people get real OCD over getting 10s and stuff like that. So there's like a whole market for it. It's really fun. It might go up in price the way sport cards have gone up in price, multi-generational. You know, people die, pass their cards on to their kids, and they get more and more and more and more expensive. Who knows what will happen with the Pokemon brand over time? I think Pokemon will stay strong, kind of like Disney. So, you know, rejoice, because you and I might be getting into Pokemon card investing pretty early, actually, if you think about it, pretty early. Not as early as 2 years ago. If you jumped in then, you'd be Poke rich today if you put every dollar in. But who knows? Looking back, maybe we'll discover that the cards are underpriced even right now. The first mistake you're going to make, you're going to buy something you don't love. Oops. So this is a mistake I've made many times, and it's the mistake of addictive buying or impulse buying, I guess you could call it. When you go shopping on eBay, or maybe you're looking at someone's cards, you're like, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that. And then a month later, 2 months later, maybe a year later, you're going through your expensive collection going, why do I have this card? I don't even care for this card. Excuse me, I just had a drink. Anyways, so you'll look at that card and you'll say, oh, I don't like that one. But the funny thing is, you're going to have some cards in your collection and you go, I never want to sell this card because I love it so much. You know, you're going to have some cards that are real jewels in your collection. And the trick is, if you're a new collector, it is important to understand the emotional difference between a card you bought on impulse and a card you actually love and want. Sometimes it's like a nostalgic card from your childhood, or it's a card where you're like, this card really looks good. You know what I mean? Like that one I just kind of bought because I could afford it. This one is special, this other one. So my tip to you is just go straight to buying those. Skip the spending all your money on the cards that don't matter. Go straight to buying the cards that you love, okay? Be smart about it. Think about it a little more. Ask yourself, am I even going to be collecting cards 5 months from now, right? So 5 months from now, or 6 months, when you've blown $10,000, which some guys do, I certainly do it, when you've blown $10,000 in a half year on Pokemon cards, are you going to sit there on your bed and go, what am I doing with my life? Right? I think I've had guys do that in the channel before. They come over here, they get all crazed, like, I'm going to buy all the cards, I'm going to do it. And then all of a sudden they realize there's other things to do in life, you know, like getting a fancier home, having a wedding, I don't know, whatever you do with your money. I don't mind owning nothing and just buying nothing, strictly Pokemon cards. That's me personally. Like, this is like one of my 2 or 3 shirts I have left. I lost a shirt recently in the lake, sadly, so I need to buy a shirt. So I'm like almost out of shirts, and that's the same clothing I've had since I was like 20, I want to say. I don't have like anything. I own nothing but Pokemon cards. It's worked for me too, by the way. But some of you guys decide, wait a second, I want the latest Tamagotchi. So be sure if you buy Pokemon cards that you really love them and you don't regret the purchase later, and don't buy on impulse, plan the cards you want to buy. Pretty simple information, actually. I'm sure anyone who made a video like this has probably told you the same thing. Number 2, spending too much and going into credit card debt. So unfortunately, some of the guys who will buy cards with me will reveal to me that they are in credit card debt now because they bought a lot of cards. And I say, you doo-doo head, what are you doing with your life? Credit card debt is the worst. The interest rate on credit card debt is always really high, like as high as 24% for some people. You might have a little lower on your card, but there are cards out there with absolutely crippling interest rates. You should know how much interest rate is on your credit card, and better yet, simply don't use your credit card to buy cards. Don't buy your cards on debt. Just if you've got all your bills are paid, your baby mama's happy because you bought her whatever you bought her. It's her birthday and you bought her some stupid thing. Buy her a Pokemon card. So your baby mama's not going to yell at you yet. Then with your little bit of playing money that you have left over from your job, you can go buy a Pokemon card. Okay, and unfortunately, there is something called shopping addiction. And when it comes to Pokemon card, you're in the thick of it because it is like the easiest shopping addiction item ever, especially when you kind of convince yourself you're doing the right thing. I'm buying up, but if this is for the future. We're investing, honey. So it's very easy to get wrapped up in that. But the truth is, it's better to have cash on hand for when a deal comes around, okay? So if you take your time and you got money on hand and you got thousands of dollars starting to save up, now you can start to look around at maybe there's an eBay auction of a really valuable card coming by pretty soon, and you're like, hey, that's going to be my card. And, and then you can place a bid on it and see if you get it under the regular market price. That happens every now and then in auction because people are always auctioning off cards, and sometimes people with deep pockets, they don't notice it. So a card kind of slips by everyone's, the main big traders, it slips past their view, and then you get it at a little bit of a better price. And sometimes that better price is like $2,000 cheaper. If it's a real expensive card, like $2,000 cheaper, it makes a difference, right? So it's better to have cash on hand, stay out of debt. Here's an important concept. When you pay that credit card debt, let's say you end up paying $100 in credit card interest somehow. That's $100 that could have been another Pokemon card. So you don't want to pay interest on something. And just be careful with it, because, and we have our slab away. I think I'm going to talk about that. Slab away, you don't go into debt. So we have a little system. You pay $25 to reserve a card with me. It could be a PSA card, like a PSA 10. It could be like $2,000, the card. I got one guy, he reserved a $2,500 Shadowless Charizard. And you pay a $25 reserve fee, and then you just make payments toward that card, and you're not holding on to any debt. You're not doing this with credit card debt. You got 6 months to pay that card off. If you see a card that I have, for sale on the table, you're welcome to do that. Ask for slab away. We'll even do that with other things like booster boxes. I think is a great idea because it kind of goes into the next subject. Subject number 3, you're doing nothing but buying cheap items because you have no discipline. So that's the next problem, and I had this problem myself. It's like when you go shopping for Pokemon cards, it's really hard to have the discipline not to just buy, junk cards the whole time. What happens is you go shopping, and it turns out all Pokemon cards look pretty good. So you go, I'm going to buy this, and I'm going to buy this, and I'm going to buy this because all the Pokemon cards look so nice. And it turns out you've got 100 slabs that cost very little, and then a nice card comes around, you're like, wait a second, I kind of want that card. And it costs like $4,000, $5,000, and you're like, I don't have that money. And then you look at your other pile of cards and go, damn it, why did I buy all of you guys? So you'll run into that scenario. And it's kind of similar in that way to subject number 1. You bought something that you didn't love. But in this way, we in tip number 3, what we're really doing is we're sort of refining that concept to explain buying items cheap, cheap little items, little $50 slabs, $100 slab, $150 slab. You get addicted to that idea that the slab is good because you can afford it. That's not true. Sometimes the card you really want sometimes is like a $5,000 card, and you need to have the discipline not to go into debt and to save up to be able to buy that card, okay? Really hard to do, and if you find something you like on my table that's really expensive, you can use slab away for it. Okay, we're moving on. Step number 4. And this is really more on the making bets side, the investing side. This one is being too rigid in your beliefs. All right, and this is actually a good tip for life, by the way. In life, you should never be too rigid in your beliefs. It's so hard to be, it's so hard to let go of your rigidity. Like even in an argument with someone you care about, you can get really rigid. You could be like, it's my way or the highway. I'm right, you're wrong. Well, that's true when it comes to Pokemon card investing. You need to have an open mind, really flexible, and you just need to see things for the way they are rather than the way you think they're going to be. And that's so hard to do. And I catch myself, not following that. Like I'll say, this card sucks, this card is awesome. And then lucky for me, I actually track them over time to see if I was right or wrong. And I don't know if everyone's doing that, but I do that. So I track the card and I find out I should have bought the other card. It would have been smarter. It would have been fine. I've had cards that said, it'll go to the moon, and it doesn't go to the moon. And then I've had other cards, and I go, that sucks, don't buy that one, and then it goes to the moon. So if you're rigid in your beliefs, you will miss out on opportunities to buy a card that is underpriced, or you will end up buying a card that is overpriced. Assume, essentially, that you can be wrong about anything, that whatever it is you believe, the opposite could happen, and try to imagine the scenario where that happens, and try to explain it too, before it even occurs. Try to explain well, here's how I'm going to be wrong, and here's why, and here's how, this is what caused it to occur. So you got to have a real open, real flexible mind. One thing I do when I buy slabs, on the back of the slab with the little, there's plastic sleeve on it, slab protector, I write the price I bought it down, the price I bought it for on the back, the date I bought it on, and then I write down the PSA population for it. For those of you who are really new, the PSA website, they're the company that does a lot of card grading for Pokemon. They have something called the population report. You can type into Google PSA Pop report, and you can search for your particular card to find out how many 9s and 10s there are. And this gives you an idea of how rare the card is. It can, excuse me, I got hiccups. It can even give you an idea of how hard it is for that card to grade 10. For example, if you take a look at a lot of modern Japanese graded cards, they mostly grade 10. So when they come out of the box, they're all coming out 10. Not all of them, but maybe like 2 out of 3 are 10s. For a lot of sets, that's true. So that kind of tells you right away. You go, well, we can't let the price of this card go too high because, ultimately I could just go open the packs myself and pull it quite quickly, or I would, it would be expected that I would. So yeah, understanding all of that, not to be too rigid in your thoughts, and betting on a card that falls in price is going to be your biggest mistake. I've done this a few times. I won't say which cards they were. I bought 2 cards, and one of them has fallen down in price so much that I'm almost at a loss of $4,000 on one card. That's my worst one, actually. And that's because I was very confident in a sort of prediction I was making on that card, and it was the wrong prediction. So my beliefs today is that buy what you love, be disciplined about it, save up your money, buy what you love, even if it's expensive, and then track it so that you have data, and then watch the data for all cards, and try to use that data to formulate a much better opinion that isn't based on how you feel, but based on what is actually going to be a continuous pattern that follows that data. It's really hard to do that, but that's so important. And especially if you're new, it's so easy to get in and be like, I'm so clever, I'm going to make all this money because I'm going to make this clever move. And I promise you, you're not that clever, because it takes a long time before you start to feel like, okay, I have a sense of all the moving parts. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to Pokemon cards. Really, there's a lot of moving parts to probably any serious collectible. And if we're saying that Pokemon cards are a serious collectible, you have to imagine there's guys with real money, big money, and they're making moves in that market, and you're competing with them to buy cards cheap and to sell cards high. So they're watching, and they're a little more experienced than you. So data is really important, and not being too rigid in your beliefs. This is more of a tip. So one of the mistakes I made when I got into Pokemon card collecting was I sold too often. You wouldn't think that's a problem. One of the things I kind of want to hammer down on you guys is you need to learn how to sell. Selling is really important. However, I did make a mistake early on in my Pokemon card career where I sold items too often. So there were items that were they were cards I just should have held. There's no reason in hell to sell this card, and I sold it like a fool. So if you've got a card, so this is basically how it works. Some cards are really good bets. They're really good picks for, future appreciation of the value of that card. You might get impatient and think, hey, I'll make more money flipping it. And it just isn't true. So it depends on what you're talking about. You don't have a crystal ball to make this correct prediction, but there is a downside to selling cards a lot. So if you're taking cards and simply holding them for a long period of time, they sit in your closet, that card's going to go up in price over time. And one of the nice things about that is whenever you go to sell it, you're not paying any fees. There's no fees when you just hold on to a card for a long time. And you don't ship the card out, so there's no shipping fees either. So you can have all these cards and you're buying and selling and you're spinning your wheels. And what you don't realize is your margin is razor thin because there's many more fees than you expected involved in buying and selling cards. Not to mention the price on the seller's side, the guy who's selling you cards, he's paying those fees too. So sometimes in order to make good money in Pokemon cards, very similar to stock market, it's much better to pick the absolute winner in the card, let's say, economy. There's certain cards that are going to be absolute winners. They're going to do better than any other card. Go straight to that card, buy it, and don't sell it. Don't do all the fees. Don't do the shipping. Don't try to flip that card over and over. Just put it away in a box. If it's truly the card that's appreciating the most, put it in a box and never let it go, and don't waste your time selling, because you'll be burning all those fees, and then you'll find out that card appreciated much higher than that profit margin you were getting on the flip, right? So that you flip a card, you get a little profit from that, when in the long run you were better just having that card sit in a box. There's also scenarios where that's not true as well. So if you have a card and it's a lot more it's a lot less stable in price, and it's going up and down and up and down, you know, if you can get rid of it. But the question I would have for you is, why did you buy it in the first place, rather than going straight to the card that's appreciating the most? And it's not always about appreciation. Like, you can have a card that doesn't appreciate very well, but it's significantly underpriced, so you can buy that, and that might be more of a flip. All right, number 6. And this is a big one, I'd say. Number 6 is a big one. So you're not building up an eBay account. So we used to have on Discord, we used to have like a marketplace channel, and people would come there, they try to sell their cards. We shut it down for various reasons. People didn't like that I shut it down, but I did. One of the biggest reasons I shut it down is because we had a bunch of fake people in the community who, to be honest, really don't like me. And they didn't care that they don't like me. They're going to come make money off of my Discord anyways. So they would come in and sell, and then they would talk trash about me later. So I shut that market down. There's other things I shut it down for too as well. Like, one of the big problems is nobody was following the rules. You got these guys breaking the rules. We set rules about how you can sell, and people would break it constantly. And then another one was, almost at least once a month, somebody would come to me crying, and they'd be like, I got scammed. I'd be like, how many times are people going to get scammed? It's way too often. It'd be some guy who comes specifically to my Discord knowing I have some kind of marketplace, and they run an actual scam. And they're actually on multiple Discords, it turns out, trying to run the same scam. So I'm like, I like eBay better because eBay has a feedback system, and eBay deals with scammers. You know, scammers eventually get weeded out of eBay. So nowadays, you know, I just tell people, don't use my Discord, go straight over to eBay. Build your eBay account up, and build it fast, and build it now. Don't wait. If you're getting into card collecting now, it's very easy to buy. That's the easy part. When you need to extract the value back out of your collection, in your mind you have a dollar value for your collection. It doesn't have a dollar value until you sell it. So you need to start selling something cheap, you know, even if it's singles or something silly like that. And you can sell them at a loss if you need to. It's kind of like buying feedback almost. Sell them at a loss if you have to. Beg the person you sold to give you feedback. Be like, please, I'm trying to reach 200 feedback. You can help me. Try to get at least 200 feedback, and then from there go for a full 1,000 feedback. That's what I would do. And yeah, so build up your eBay account as fast as you buy items. You should be selling items so that you can build up that account. And then one day when you need to sell your big, beautiful cards, eBay will give you the privileges to sell it, because eBay really limits people who have weak accounts. And then also people will trust you. They'll say, he's got a proven track record. Okay, so that was number 6. You're buying all these Pokemon cards, but you're not working on an eBay account. Oops, that's the clown music. Let's skip it. I hate the clown music. There we go. Number 7, you're bad at shipping. So I've got a little story for you guys. I recently bought a really expensive card. I won't tell you how much it's worth, but it cost the price of a car. I'm talking about a vehicle. A nice vehicle. And it arrived. You won't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I was like mad. I was so shocked. It arrived in a bubble mailer with no other protection. A bubble mailer. He took a card that's worth that much, went, boop, dropped it in the bubble mailer and said, here you go, mailman. And the mailman could have stepped on it and he instantly lost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I could not believe it when I saw it. And, you know, I'd had so many cards have arrived in the mail broken or bent. So that's another thing. I had a dispute one time with the guy who was selling me a Wheezing, and this was from the Expedition set. And I'm like, dude, the mailman bent it. And he's like, he didn't believe me. He thought I was running a scam on him for $67. I'm like, are you joking? I make $67 like after a few sales. I don't need your money. So he thought I was running a scam on him. And on a $67 Wheezing, but no, it just gotten bent in the mail. It was really tragic, actually, because I thought it had a chance at a 10. And he had put it into a bubble mailer with cardboard on either side of the card, and the card was in a top loader. And he thought, well, that's enough. I've been selling lots of cards this way, so it's not going to bend because it's well protected. Not true. Mailman can bend it like this. Wouldn't even take much effort. You're just assuming the mailman will be nice to your cards and not cram it into a mailbox. And I'm sure that's what he did, because I get a lot of mail, so he probably couldn't fit it into the mailbox very easily. So he went like that, and then it was bent. So That can happen to your slabs. That can happen to your Pokemon cards. Some people like to buy insurance. I don't really like insurance. I think insurance is overpriced. What you really need is very, very secure packing. So what we're talking about, get a real stiff, foldable box, the kind that fold up into a tube. You know, they're called perforated boxes or something like that. Corrugated, I can't remember. But basically, it's just a shipping box. It's got to be long enough to hold a slab. It's got to be thick enough to hold a slab, right? And you're always going to use a box to ship your cards, unless the card is maybe like in the 30 and less range. But if you get like $100 slab, what are you thinking? Do you want to replace a $100 broken slab? Because guess what? Guys have had to do that for me. I've got a Zacian V, is a golden Zacian, and he shipped it to me, and it was only in a, I know because eventually it arrived, it was only in a bubble wrapper, and it was shredded to pieces. Yeah, I used to throw trucks for UPS, Target, and Sears. Sometimes these guys, they closed the door for whatever reason, the door to the trailer truck, and just smash all the boxes that are at the bottom. They don't care. They wear like steel toe boots and they stomp around and they'll jump on the boxes to reach a box they want. You know, they don't care. So you have to imagine all that when you ship. And so the proper way to ship a box is to buy a bunch of those corrugated boxes, if that's what they're called. It's like 65 cents a box. It's almost as expensive as a bubble mailer. So why is everyone buying bubble mailers? It makes no sense. And then if you have a really expensive card, you need to like double or triple box it. That's the trick, in my opinion. It's not going to be insurance. Don't wait for the insurance claims to save you on the loss of the card. Just go straight to mailing the card in such a way that it can't be damaged in the mail. That's the smartest move, in my opinion. So you take the card, wrap it up, put it in a box, wrap that box up, put it in a box, wrap that box up, put it in the final box. Now you're good to go. So in my opinion, that's the best move. It doesn't cost as much as really expensive insurance, and now your card is nearly indestructible. It would really take a lot to damage it, especially when a box is really large too. I can tell you from experience, it's hard to lose large boxes. So if you got a little bubble mailer, that can fall out the sides of a truck. It can fall out, it can get lost, it can fall somewhere and not be seen, it can be kicked easily. When you got a bigger box, those never get lost because they're too large to lose. So that's it. So number 7, you're bad at shipping. Number 6, you don't have an eBay. And number 7, you're bad at shipping. Number 8, underestimating the power of sealed product. Some people will tell you not to open up sealed product. I don't always agree with that. For example, a part of my Poke fortune was made opening up vintage Japanese packs. And the truth is, you got the holographic card in the set, and the Japanese card's great, a little easier than the English ones anyways. So I'll be opening up Japanese Fossil, Japanese Gym, I wish I'd opened more. Japanese Gym Challenge, Japanese Gym Heroes, even some base set. We did a base set box break. I pulled a Charizard 9. So I opened packs for myself and did quite well, actually. And if I had ran off and bought singles, the problem with the singles, a lot of the time, especially I'd say now, everyone's a lot more aware of grading. If you're talking about valuable cards, not like, you know, not like some $25 hyper rare, $15 hyper rare, which I suppose you could take those and grade them all day, but the price of grading's gone up. It's harder to do that, right? But if you're talking about actual collectible cards, the very best chance of 10 is to open them, hopefully from a sealed booster box. Maybe you can get in a box break with someone like me, PokeRev maybe, you know, for an expensive vintage box, and try to get that nice pull, and that's your best chance. And even if you don't get a nice pull from that, go for like take the common and commons out of your booster pack, grade all of those, grade the non-holo rare if you got a non-holo rare. So people will tell you, don't worry about opening booster packs. It's too much of a gamble. But it's true, it's a gamble, and sometimes people will lose. Sometimes you win too, though. That's the thing, you know, and that's, it's not quite like gambling. That's the thing. When it comes to gambling, the way gambling is really designed, gambling is designed so that if you were to play a real scratcher ticket, you've probably seen Mr. Beast do this before. You scratch it, and then over a long period of time, you lose like crazy. You lose like crazy if you open enough scratcher tickets. Now, Pokemon cards are a little bit different. If you were to open up millions of boxes of Evolving Skies, you'll find more that you break even in the distribution of all the cards in the set. So it's a little bit different in concept. And so the question becomes, when it's time to price these out, when you look at the prices that the people who are selling singles of that set are from, your question is going to be relative to the concept of me buying the entire set, which is what you would be doing if you would open a lot of sealed product. Is this going to be a good price? And it's a little harder. It takes a bit more math to understand when singles are underpriced versus overpriced. But a large part of it is also like, Do you really think there's no risk when you buy singles? When you buy singles for, let's say, Evolving Skies, you really believe that the guy who's selling it to you has not looked it over to see if it can grade 10? Increasingly, I think they are. And they call them like near mint. And that's their fancy way of saying, here's my trash pulls. Thank you for buying them off of me. I don't want to grade them. Okay, so you have to be really careful with the singles. You guys will notice, I still prefer to open up booster packs. I sometimes buy singles. I've had some good experiences. I've definitely had a lot of negative experiences with buying singles, okay? A lot of guys out there, they're like pirates, right? And they're like really determined to get rich. So what they do is they sort out all the cards that are going to grade 10, and then they say, some sucker on eBay is going to buy my 9s. I'm not even going to bother grading them. You don't want to be that sucker. All right, we got 2 more tips, 25 minutes, 2 more tips. All right, so this is a tip. I don't know if everyone's telling you this one. I don't know if you've gone to other videos like this from other PokeTubers, but number 9, you need to work on your social media. That's right. You wouldn't think that Pokemon card collecting is about having a YouTube channel or an Instagram or Facebook or whatever. It is, though. It is. So the reason that Pokemon cards and really all collectibles are kind of exploding in price is because of the power of social media. Social media is very powerful. And so even if you're not like a big content creator, and it's not for everybody, some people are good content creators because they have the most to say, and some people are not great content creators because, you know, maybe you didn't like writing essays when you were younger. It's the same part of your brain that writes essays. Well, anyways, so maybe it's not for you, but you should still document what you have. Get it up onto YouTube, get it up onto Instagram, and then, you know, start to follow people that are in these social groups. Join my Discord and talk to people. Follow people who you think have a very good collection on Instagram. Keep track of them. Tell them, hey, here's what I have in case you ever want to trade. And be sure you have serious stuff to show off. You know, don't just show off like your PSA 9 base set Weedle because nobody cares. Have stuff to actually show off. And if you're always working on your social media presence, one day you might find you have a little bit of a following, and these guys can be some of your best traders. And trading directly with people is always a little bit better because you avoid that. There's a heavy 12% eBay fee. Now, I pay the eBay fee. I think that the eBay fee is a bit high, but here's the fact about eBay too. It exposes you to a huge market of buyers and sellers. So you pay that eBay fee, but part of that eBay fee is just the fact that you gain access to their marketplace. It's theirs. And they regulate it and they weed out the scammers, like I said before. So it's the fee to buy and sell and trade. You know, it'd be true for anything else, like when you're trading with crypto, sometimes there's a fee. Like if you're trading on Robinhood, there's going to be that sort of hidden fee when you make a trade and they don't give you the best price on the trade. They call it free, but it's not really free. So you pay a little bit on Robinhood, even though you're not really even aware of it unless you're a little more educated on it. And then there's other platforms where they just directly charge you a flat fee to trade crypto or gold. It's the same with gold, maybe even harsher with gold, you know. So you try to turn in gold with the gold company and they're like, all right, well, you know, here's the spot price and here's what we're willing to buy it at. We're going to buy it under the spot price or something like that, right? So, but if you have a strong social media presence that you worked on over multiple years, just documenting what cards you have, you can one day also use that as a selling platform. So I would recommend to everyone who's serious about investing a lot of money into Pokemon cards to work on your YouTube account and your Instagram account especially. All right. Number 10 is getting scammed. So people throw the word scammed around a lot. Sometimes people call it getting scammed if the price is high on an item. But in this case, we're talking about a particular type of scam. Weighed product. Ooh, that's tough. Weighed product, searched product, and counterfeit product. I've been actually hit with counterfeit product twice now, twice. Is always from the same place. It is all produced in China for some reason. And they ship it over here, and then they create very legitimate websites to sell it from. And one of the more recent trends, actually, believe it or not, they will try to sell sealed product on eBay, and they will use a picture of the authentic version of the product, and then they will ship you the counterfeit product. One of the ways you knew to avoid counterfeits from China, one of the ways you knew is you would just check, is this from China? Is it from Brazil? Is it from, one of the kind of poor countries? Where's this product coming from? Is it coming from the United States? So the United States is safe, the UK is safe, Singapore is safe, and there's a few others like Germany, Italy, France. I don't buy from those as often, but I have actually. The main places I bought from are number 1, the USA by far, quite a bit from the UK, I bought from Germany a few times. I think I bought my Expedition collection from a guy in Finland. So don't just count a place out just because it's in a country that, you know, seems kind of like a bizarre place to be buying Pokemon cards from, because people all around the world are collecting Pokemon cards. However, if it's from China, you have to be real careful, in my opinion. And the latest trick they're using, other than the fact that they use a picture of the real authentic product, they'll do another thing. So in the past, they used to significantly underprice the sealed product so that it was like, hey, come buy ours, it's much cheaper, right? And they could do this because, you know, it's counterfeit. So for them, they produced it very cheaply. However, the last time I got tricked with counterfeits, and I disputed it and I won. The last time I got tricked, they charged as much as everyone else. That was the trick, and it worked. So they used a fake picture, and they charged the same price as like a big LGS store, right? So yeah, I ended up buying it because I was like, well, this is a counterfeit product because, you know, the counterfeiters are always from China with a low price. Oh, and that's another thing. So they didn't list that they were from China. They listed that they were from Ohio, but it was not from Ohio. Their distribution center for shipping is from Ohio. Just like we have, when I ship international, it goes to the Illinois distribution center. So I suppose I could try to do a workaround where I claim I'm from Illinois. So that really got me. As for weighed and searched packs, a weighed pack is a booster pack where people are aware that the hit card weighs more, a hot pack, right? It weighs more than a light pack. And the reason this is caused is because the materials that go into the hit cards are a little heavier. So people will use like a digital scale that could be used for like weighing anything, including like jewelry. And they very carefully weigh these packs out to find out which packs are heavy and which packs are light. They sell the light packs, they open the heavy packs, and you could be the victim of that very quickly. So you have to be aware of which sets can cost that. And really, they started to get rid of it. I think they started to get rid of it at the end of the XY era. But, with the XY cards, if you go back far enough, they weren't always doing that. And then when you get into the Sun and Moon era, they really do start to make all the packs impossible to weigh. Right, so that's good. Although you have to be careful with the Sun and Moon base set, because with that, the box is mapped. So you'll want to only buy sealed boxes. And then the concept of searching as well. Searching is like when you have a booster box and you don't even need to weigh the packs. Let's say I have a box of Evolving Skies, and I've recently talked about this because I have a strong suspicion that those LGS stores that sell all those singles, I have a strong suspicion that they search packs. So this is a sealed booster box. It's a product that Pokemon sells, and what you can do is rip it open and start opening packs until you run into like a major hit. What people who are real experienced with opening cards know is that there's typically no more than about 2 hits in a box, 2 serious hits. You know, you got VMAXs, you got full art cards that are considered secret rare, I guess, in Japan. But the real hits are like, you run into a very serious good card and you run into one other, and then what do you do with the rest of the packs on box? Do you open them up? No, because you know there's no more hits. Or the odds for a third hit are very low. So what you do is you sell off the rest of those packs and then you go to the next box. That's called searching. And I suspect that LGS stores who sell singles, I don't understand why they would open up the whole box when they can just focus on the hits and they can search. It's very similar to weighing. I would say I would never buy anything except for a whole sealed box. Don't buy a half box ever, and don't buy packs that are don't buy individual packs or pack lots where it's like, oh, we got 36 packs over here. Yeah, because you're trying to eliminate your light packs. So don't buy it that way unless you have a business relationship with the person you're buying from and you've been buying from them for a long time and you trust them. So I got like 2 guys where that's the situation. Excuse me. All right. That's 10 tips. Other scams might include I had a really expensive card I bought. It was a Shining Gyarados that I bought a while back, and they claimed that it was mint. It was really good, and they sent it in. It was not mint at all. And then when I tried to open up a dispute over it, they claimed that I switched the card out. So I had that happen one time. It was really frustrating, but I actually won the dispute in the end, so it didn't matter. So that's pretty tricky. Think about anything else. Resealed booster packs. So potentially, I've heard you could probably like open these up, and then I saw a video one time where they took a heater and they like a heating press, and they heated the end. They opened it, they looked at the card, they put it back in, and then they heat it to try and reseal it. So the problem with that is if you think you've got a resealed pack, how would you prove that it's resealed? So that concerns me as well. You know, in general, you want to avoid buying from people with the low feedback on eBay, people who look shady, people who have a lot of negative feedback. You want to just buy from people you can trust, people who, you know, are long-term thinkers. I was really surprised by what the PWCC guy did before he got PWCC. I'm talking about the CEO. He got his company kicked off of eBay. He was cheating. He was trying to get shill bidding. That's where you drive up the price of the card in order to create a new data point for its value. That's, you know, that's a fake data point that you've created by bidding on your own card. And I've heard that he was also involved in tampering with cards in order to get a better grade. So those are two things you really can't do. And he was doing this with like $1 million card or something like that. And, you know, when I heard about it occurring and the fact that he got kicked off eBay, I thought to myself, I was like, you had such a good deal going on. All you had to do was take the slow and steady path to wealth and you would have made it, you know? So it's kind of like a crime doesn't pay situation. And I feel very strongly about that myself, because here I go live every night. I've got money I can make just by going live. I never really have a reason to cheat. That's not true for everyone. And so you do have to be careful, because there are people out there that will do shady things in order to make more money because they're desperate for money. And you won't find somebody who's not so desperate for money. All right, so those are your 10 mistakes you're going to make. I could do a quick summary, but maybe I won't this time because we're already 36 minutes deep. If you want to rewatch this fast, watch it on double time speed and listen to me go blah, 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 like that. All right, did you guys like this video? Do you want another video? I can make videos all day. You know I used to do this for the Game Economist, right? I used to make a video every single day. How did I do it? I will blah, 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 blah. So I could talk all day long. It's just in my nature. All right, guys, have a nice day. I hope you enjoyed the video.